how I hunt them. For pretty well all chickens other than ptarmigan, because I've never hunted them, and with the exception of sharptail, I like to go down just nice little gravel roads. Up here we have tens of thousands of logging roads and oil field roads, and there's very, very little people on them. And typically what I look for is a road with that little bit of small little, I call it pebble gravel, but it's gravel that's like half-inch or smaller kind of a thing. Clovers on both sides, and then with the rough grouse, your poplar trees and your cranberries. With spruce grouse, it's kind of like that muskeg area and swamp spruce. And then basically what I do is I'll go anywhere. If it's like a nice warm day, I'll roll my window down and I'll do anywhere between like 15 and 30 kilometers an hour. And when I drive, I don't just drive and look down the road and wait for something to come out on the road. With my window rolled down, you can hear them run if you drive past them, especially once you hit like about now, like the end of September, getting especially into October when all the leaves are on the ground. But I'll drive with my head out the window like this, because a lot of times as you drive past them, especially in the beginning of the fall, they're, like I said, with the cranberries, they don't have to come out onto the road to get that gravel. So a lot of times they'll come out and they'll just hang out in those thick willows. So as I'm driving by, you'll just see one in the trees. So when I see them in the tree, I drive up another 20 feet, 30 feet, whatever. Then I get out, walk back, and try to get them. When I do the same thing with spruce grouse too, and blue and dusky, it's all kind of the same technique. With those three though, because like I said with sharptail, if you shoot at them and you miss, they'll fly for whatever until they're tired, and they don't get tired very often. But with rough grouse, spruce grouse, dusky, if I see one, two, three, a bunch of them, whatever, I'll shoot at one. This year I've been missing a lot, but typically I get the first one. And then if the others fly off, typically what they do, if they're on the ground, they'll just fly up into the nearest tree, or a tree that's within maybe 30 to 60 yards, kind of a thing. And all I do is I just kind of watch where they fly, watch where they land, and I just kind of get my bearings. I'll go, okay, well, they landed on this spruce tree, which is beside that poplar, and there's a birch tree laying down at a 45. So I kind of got my bearings on this bird, so I know where he is, and I watch these other two land kind of over there. And then depending on how everything's situated, I'll walk in and I'll just go after them. A lot of times when you get too close to them, they kind of get a little nervous, and they do a weird little chirp. If I can find one of the videos where it's very clear, I'll put it in right here. So, and typically what happens, as you walk in a little too close to them, they start to look at you and chirp, and that's kind of their first indication on where they are. Other than that, I'll watch for their head moving, because as they're in the tree, they're kind of doing this kind of thing. They're looking and they're trying to figure out what you are, and their heads are turning, they're bobbing. And then same thing with their tail. Their tail kind of twitches up and down that little bit, and you'll really see that movement. Not very often do I look for a silhouette of a chicken, because man, they just disappear when they go into the trees. It's amazing how fast they disappear. But every once in a while, especially one thing that does help for looking for a silhouette is if the wind is blowing, kind of like today, but a little calmer. Normally if the wind's blowing like this, chickens are just scared, because it just muffles them and they can't hear anything, so they're just scared. But if a tree is just moving slightly, what you'll see is like a tree, they kind of have somewhat straight lines. So you'll see these little pockets of light, and then all of a sudden this chicken will kind of come into that pocket, right? I don't know if you can see that or not, but you'll see like this big blob kind of block out some light, and then it gets light again. So it's like a little bit of darkness comes in, then it goes away. And like that kind of gives it away sometimes. And it's the same thing with rough grouse or spruce or dusky. Uh, and you know, like a lot of times, one will start to chirp and he'll give himself away, and then you get up there and you find two of his buddies over here that are a little bit closer, and like these two poor buggers, their buddy just gave them away, and I take these two and I leave that guy because by the time you're done shooting these other two, that one who gave these two away, he flies off. But yeah, it's a ton of fun, and if you watch my videos on YouTube, there, you know, you'll see how I hunt chickens. If I shoot 10 birds on a normal day, I bet you about 3, maybe 4 of them actually came off the road. The rest have been in the bush, in the ditch, up in a tree, and you know, a lot of times too, if you shoot one, when I walk up to it, right now, the beginning of the year, not so much, but once you get into October, they really start to bundle up and come into big flocks and bundles. If you shoot one, don't just run in there after them. Let them do their funky chicken. You kind of know where they are, and just reload your rifle or your shotgun, whatever you're using, and just slowly walk up there, because a lot of times there'll be anywhere up to like 10 more birds just in the trees right there. And a lot of times, if you just walk up slow, they kind of go, oh, what's that? And they kind of fly up, you know, 10 feet and stop. And then they want to check you out and be like, are you dangerous or not? And then that's when you can take another one. Where if you just run in there, they automatically go, oh yeah, this guy is dangerous. And they just scatter and they fly away. And like, you might be able to get one more, but it makes it so much harder. Forgot to mention when grouse start to mate, what you'll see is a chicken is typically on the ground. His neck feathers are all puffed up and he's kind of doing a little dance kind of a thing. When you see a chicken doing that, don't go after him right away. Make sure you really check your surroundings and check for other grouse that are in the area. Also, if there is one or two, whatever, up in the tree, like his girlfriend's up on a branch, it sounds kind of cruel, but what I've done in the past, and it seems to work pretty good, is I'll go after the ones in the tree first, because once as you shoot them and they fall down, they hit the ground, the guy still wants to get a little piece of tail. So he doesn't typically fly off that often. Sometimes they do, but more times than not, he'll stick around and try to get with his woman. But yeah, just forgot to mention that little tidbit of information, so hopefully that helps. Hey, if you enjoyed that podcast clip, make sure you check out the full episode or check out one of our many other videos on the channel.